What is going on, guys? We are back here with a quick update video. Blizzard just announced some massive nerfs to Mythic Sepulcher of the first ones. These nerfs are coming with patch 9.2.5, as you can see here. It is on Wildhead. This article will be in the description below, but I thought I'd just make a video, go through all the nerfs, kind of tell you exactly what they mean for some of these bosses, and yeah, so let's start out. So Blizzard has like a nice long thing here, and they're like, oh yeah, basically the raid is pretty difficult. It's taken a long time for guilds to kill this raid, so we're basically nerfing it into the ground. Basically what this says. Anyway, don't really have to read it. So Artificer Zymox, Decipher Relic cast time increased to 30 seconds on Mythic difficulty was 25. This basically is just going to give you a little bit more time on the platforms. It gives you a bit more leniency, so you don't have to maybe use CDs on them in order to kill the platforms. You can send less people, which means you have more people attacking Zymox, and which means that he transitions a little bit faster. You get a little bit less tank bombs. And yeah, it's an okay change. Honestly, Zymox didn't really need nerfs. He was still like a 30-40 pull boss. Yeah. Imprinted safeguards reduce damage and healing taken by 35% on Mythic difficulty was 50%. This is the shield that the seeds and the necromancers get, and you need to use the line. I forget what it's called, but the line to destroy them in order to attack them. This basically allows you, if you do miss one, that you can heal through it or damage through it with cooldowns if your entire raid is on it. So if you miss one, it's not really a wipe anymore. Now, I don't know for certain how this will work. I know you could kill the 50% one, but healing-wise, I'm not too sure. So overall, this is just basically if you are lucky enough, you might be able to live if you do miss one of the lines on the seeds or the ads. Pretty good change for a pretty bad boss. Yeah. Lahuvum, health reduced by 10% on all difficulties. Sure. Killing him was never really the problem. It was about killing the ads, which right here, the protoform schematic health are reduced by 10%. This is really good. Means you're never really going to miss the DPS check, which is the entire fight on the ads. Good change. Good change. Halandris, the Ephemeral Eruption, initial damage reduced significantly on Mythic difficulty. This is basically the damage you take when you pick up the orb. Sure, just a little bit less damage taken. And then the Light Shatter Beam increases damage from Light Shatter Beam by 300%. On Heroic difficulty was 500%. I mean, I guess this allows you to maybe one-tank it. Maybe one-tank Halandris. But Heroic Halandris was never really a problem. You're really killing him before it even matters. But I guess for Heroic guilds, this might allow you to one-tank it. Maybe in the final phase if your tanks are dying. One of your tanks can solo tank it in the final phase, and you can still get the kill. Now, we are here with the big boy nerfs. Anduin got, not gutted, but he got nerfed pretty hard. So, Anduin's health is reduced by 5% on all difficulties. This is pretty good. This will allow most guilds to get to the 10% mark in the second intermission. I feel like most guilds can get to that 10% mark, but overall, this is a good nerf. It was what I thought was going to be nerfed, like at the beginning when they originally nerfed him, just his health, because this allows you to do less soaks in the final phase, and also just allows you to hit that 10% mark a little bit easier in intermission 2. You now for sure can skip an entire A-bomb in intermission 2 with cooldowns and everything like that. Monstrous Souls health reduced by 5% on all difficulties. Good change. A lot of guilds, just miss the DPS check, and then you wipe in the second intermission or the first intermission. And so now this will just allow you to make sure you kill it every single time. Good change. Anduin's Despair health reduced by 10% on all difficulties. I mean, a lot of these health nerfs are just basically to ensure you're getting the mechanics done. Because this is the downstairs phase. Maybe most guilds are missing the DPS check on the big one. I'm not too sure. I don't even know if this is the big one. This might be the small ones. But anyway, fine change. Reducing health is always a good thing. It just means that things die faster and bosses take less time and they're less they're a lot harder to wipe on. Anduin's Hope movement speed reduction on heroic and mythic reduced on heroic and mythic difficulty. This is pretty good. This allows you maybe to not have to have a priest, because as it stands, you do have to mass dispel. But with their movement speed reduced, it means you can probably single dispel them with 2 healers, and dispel them, heal them up, and then dispel the other 2 and heal them up. Good change. Never really had a difficult issue with this in my guild. The healers kind of always had them done correctly. So maybe this is a bigger problem for a lot of guilds. But overall, good change. Good change. Remorseless winter damage reduced by 10% on all difficulties. This is a good change. This kind of allows you to maybe miss 1 ad. You could already miss 1 ad, actually. This might allow you to miss maybe 2 of the small ads, and you won't take too much damage. That being said, your tanks might get trucked by the Lich King still, so you probably want to get all of the ads as possible to get his his energy up to full. But this will just be a lot less damage in the intermission. Your healers might be able to do a little bit more damage, which will allow you to kill the monster's soul faster, or the fiendish souls a little bit faster, and do a little bit more damage on the Lich King and Anduin himself. Good change. Good change. Hopebreaker damage over time reduced by 15% on all difficulties. This is a good change. I know that a lot of guilds are dying because there is a nasty combo of Hopebreaker and the shield at the same time. In my guild, we had to use a healer cooldown there just to make sure that we lived through it. We used Aura Mastery and something else. I think maybe AMZ or something. Not too sure, but that's a good change. This is just a large burst of damage that, when comboed with the Healing Absorb Shield, can just kill 1 or 2 members of your raid. Fiendish Souls Necrotic Claws cooldown increased by 50%. Yeah, this helps. This just makes sure that people are not getting too many stacks and dying too fast. But overall, Anduin got some pretty big nerfs that do end up helping him. I think the difficulty of this boss does come from Blasphemy. It comes from the Lost Souls. So they didn't really target the difficulty of the boss and the progression of the boss, but they just made it a little bit easier to hit those DPS checks, which is always a good thing. They're not hurting the boss's mechanics in any way, but rather just making them a little bit less punishing by allowing you to deal with them faster and easier. Good changes. Good changes. Lords of Dread. Now, this boss was a boss that was already a pretty easy boss, about a 30-pull boss for most cutting-edge guilds. So I'm really surprised to see these changes here. But yeah, so Mal'Ganis and Contessa health reduced by 5% on all difficulties. You're kind of seeing a theme here. A lot of health nerfs here. That's okay, because a lot of guilds do hit that enraged timer because you are dealing with a lot of other mechanics throughout the fight. So you might lose some damage uptime on the bosses. So this is a good change. Allows you to, kill the boss a little bit faster, deal with a little bit less mechanics, which is always a good time. Swarm of Decay and Swarm of Darkness damage reduced by 7.5% of all difficulties. Interesting number, but sure. This did hit really, really hard, especially when you had a lot of the goo going out, a lot of the green stuff out. Some people might just die unless your healers are gods, or you're 6 healing the fight, or you're 7 healing the fight, however many you're healing with. But this did do a lot of damage, so I'm glad to see that this did get a little bit nerfed. It's a little bit more relaxed for healers on that fight. Ravenous Hunger now heals the Incoherent Shadow for 13% of health, was 10. That's good. So now, I can't do the math, but I think it's probably going to it's going to get like 4 or 5 less casts off, which means there's a lot less damage going out. And it means you get to kill the ad a little bit faster. As it stands on Mythic, you're kind of killing the ad during the first intermission, and you basically kill the ad during Among Us and during the Swarms. So now this means that you'll kill the ad like in between those two now, rather than during those two. So the mechanic overlaps are actually going to change a little bit, making the fight a little bit easier to deal with, which is always a good change. Always a good change. Cloud of Carrion no longer disorients when jumping between players on heroic and mythic difficulty. This is a big change, actually. I didn't even read this one. This is a massive change, because what you'd run into is that if the Cloud of Carrion got into melee, someone got hit, they would get disoriented, and then it would instantly jump to another melee player, right? And then they would get disoriented, and it would just be this cascading effect that just basically resulted in a wipe. Now this means if someone gets hit, they can instantly dash out or run out, and it means no one else is going to get any stacks. It'll make that mechanic a little bit easier to deal with. It also means that if, you know, you're doing another mechanic and get hit, you're not going to get disoriented. As a tank, if I ever got hit by this mechanic, I, you know, would get disoriented, turn around, and then the boss would hit me in the back, and I would take a lot of damage. So this is always a good change. You shouldn't get hit by this mechanic anyway. It's basically the entire fight, but, you know, makes it a little bit easier to deal with. Good change. Infiltration of Dread. Duration increased by 10 seconds on heroic and mythic difficulty. That's another big change, because you already had a lot of time to do this mechanic, but this allows you to do it. I don't know if I can say this without the weak aura, but I can say that this makes this mechanic a little bit less hard to deal with, though the difficulty with this mechanic came from the fact that you had the the incoherent shadow at the same time as infiltration of Dread. So with this being gone, I think this is just a massive nerf. These two together, a massive nerf to that phase, and it'll make it extremely easy. I think this boss might go down to like a 15 pull boss as like a third last mythic boss. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about. Raglan, big nerfs. This is massive. Raglan is a pretty tough fight. They already nerfed him really hard with the last set of nerfs, and they just reduced basically all the damage to it. They made the collapsing Quasar field a little bit easier to deal with if you killed them too fast. But this is just amazing, because when my guild went to progress on Raglan, we ran into the problem of the Quasars still dying too fast, and they would still disappear. But this is almost going to guarantee, unless you literally nuke the Quasar as it spawns, this almost guarantees that the Quasar will always be up no matter if you kill it, as long as you kill it like 1 to 2, 3 seconds after they spawn. It should be up for the Dark Eruption, and you should be able to get into it as long as no one else takes it, which I hope they don't remove that part of the fight, because that basically just makes that mechanic a joke. So good change. This fight now will be even easier. It'll probably be like a 40-50 pull boss. These two fights got hit pretty hard for them being already easy boss fights. The Jailer now. So this is the final boss. Not a lot of guilds have killed him, so it's good to see that they actually hit him with some nerfs. So Rune of Compulsion's Absorb reduced by 33% on normal and heroic difficulties. This really wasn't much of a problem, but it's good to see them nerfed a little bit for those AOTC guilds and those normal guilds. But for mythic guilds, that was not really a problem on that difficulty. But 10% on mythic difficulty is crazy. You're already struggling to kill these in that phase, in phase 2, so it's good to see that the health is reduced a little bit. It means you'll get a little bit more damage on the Jailer himself, and you'll be able to get those people out, you know, faster, right? And that was always a little bit of a difficulty. You need a warrior with a Kyrian Spear or like an Ursul's Vortex or something like that to make sure that you keep those people in place to damage them. This health nerf means, or the absorption health nerf, nerf just guarantees that these will die a lot faster. Misery no longer knocks back on Raid Fighter normal and heroic difficulty. Okay. This is really funny because my guild's currently progressing Mythic Jailer, and we've died to the knockback of Misery a decent amount of times. It's really funny. Decimator no longer knocks back on Raid Fighter normal difficulty. Sure. So now it's just a little bit of AoE damage. This is the crazy part of it. Diverted Life Shield no longer heals on Mythic difficulty. So as the fight stands, you get the Jailer to 10% health. He gets a massive shield, and then he would heal to 30%, something like that. You'd use a Mortal Strike, and it would reduce it down to about 19%. So basically, you'd have to do him from 19% to 0 in phase 4. Or you could bug him out and make him not heal at all. And Blizzard has been dealing with a lot of difficulties about the heal and all that. So they just straight up removed the heal. They just straight up said, you know what? We don't know how to fix this issue. So we are going to just straight up remove the heal entirely. But as a result, phase 4 now triggers at 15%. So you're still roughly about the same thing. You still have to break through the shield, and you still have to do all that stuff in phase 4. But he, this also is a little easier. It means you get out of phase 3 a little bit faster as well, which is also a good thing, because rather than going to 10%, you're only going to 15%. Great change. Roll Crusher produces 2 less Bloods of Azurite on Mythic difficulty. Good change. You're basically just rushing to deal with all the Bloods of Azurite, right? In time, and to keep your blood, to keep your shields up, and your buffs up. So this means that you're not rushing as much to deal with those things and to heal Azeroth as much. And the same with this one. Like, these are good changes. I don't really know how this is going to affect the fight that much, but we will see. This might actually be a massive nerf to P1 and P2, and P3, but we'll see. But overall, really, really good changes from Blizzard here. This is just going to reduce a lot of the time spent for guilds in this area down quite a lot. Most guilds that are progging Anduin will probably kill him the next time they face him, and then they'll be on Lords of Dread and Raglan, probably spend a couple days on those two, and then they'll be on Jailer. So good changes all around. I approve. I was really hoping they were going to nerf it into the ground, and they did. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I was currently editing a video at the time of this dropping, so you'll see that video after this video in a couple days. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.